Hello, hello, hello. We're back. It's the IGR podcast. It's been quite a while. Not gonna lie. A lot of stuff going on. Um, you know, there's been deaths. There's been ups. There's been downs. There's been moving from Connecticut to the city. It's a lot happening, but I'm excited. Um, I just want to always thank God because that's my number one. Through Him, everything's possible. So, Amen. I want to thank Guhan for the beat, the intro beat off top. Luan still does some stuff for us. Vision Apparel, they're also always great and phenomenal. But here now we have two people: Salman Ali, Syed Mahmood. And always, guys, correct me if I'm mispronouncing your names, but thank you guys for joining us. I led with a lot of ambiguity because I want you guys to fill in a lot for the listeners. I want you guys to really just be here, be yourselves. A little bit about them is they have their own podcast. And I was actually on there. It's called the Two Time Zones podcast because Syed is in Pakistan and Salman is in Chicago. So two time zones make sense. And I was on theirs and they had me on and it was great. Theirs is a bit quicker. Mine's a bit longer, but it was super fun. We talked about a lot of stuff, but what's up, guys?
Yeah, let me jump in and start off with something Saad won't do. His name is Saad. It's pronounced that way. I don't want him to feel bad like a day from now for not saying that. So Saad, you're welcome. But yeah, it was honestly super fun having you on the podcast. And I know me and Saad are both really excited to be on the other end of things, to get interviewed, to not have to worry about, always having questions ready. I know you're a professional person.
The weight has been lifted. The weight has been lifted. It feels good, buddy. Like literally, I want to see how this goes. I'm super excited. I'm genuinely excited to see what you have in store for us.
Awesome. I mean, so I'm just gonna dive right into it. Like, what, just into the podcast stuff. What made you guys want to make your own podcast?
I think both of us have our own reasons. So personally, it was COVID. The world shut down. My campus went online. A lot of my friends moved out. And I just love talking to people. I love meeting people. And I wasn't doing that anymore. And I was complaining to Saad about it when, as a joke, he was like, hey, why don't we start a podcast? And I was like, yes, that's a great idea. Let's do it. And we did it. And ever since we started that podcast, every week we met 2 to 3 new people that we haven't known before, and we've gotten to bond with them, learn about their lives, and it's just been such a great overall experience.
Yeah.
Love it. Yeah. How about
for
you, Sal?
For me, dude, the reasons are, more or less the same, but I have my own personal reasons. I have another YouTube channel where I vlog, where I used to just go out and I used to vlog cars, my life, my lifestyle, generally what I used to do, the things I used to get to on a day-to-day basis. But COVID happened. I was locked inside my house, and I was like, okay, I cannot be just sitting here stagnant for the next 5 to 6 months and do nothing. I need to do something productive. And there's a saying that out of every crisis, there's massive opportunity born in any crisis, right? No matter what crisis there is, there's always something that is new that's going to be happening. People are going to be adapting, people are going to be changing, and COVID is more or less one of our generation's biggest crisis, because it's not only an economic crisis, it's also a health crisis, it's also a lifestyle crisis where people could not leave their own houses. You know how generally economies are cyclical. Economies are doing good, right. They do bad, they do good, they do bad. But with COVID, nobody expected. It's a black swan, as they say. Nobody expected this to happen. Nobody expected a health-related fucking virus just putting people in their houses. So Mr. Mine, I had to adapt. I had to come up with content because I'm a content junkie. I consume a lot of content, and I also wanted to create something. So with that, I wanted to create a platform where I could network with as many like-minded and positive people on the planet who are doing great things, who could, in the future, we could all help each other and grow and just generally help out, whatever is happening. And through that, we met you, and now you came on our podcast. Now we're on your podcast. So we're exchanging value, bro. And if we had not done that, we would have never crossed paths, we would have never met, and this would not be happening right now.
Yeah, I think that that's one of the major things. Even like, you can look at the numbers, look at your stats, however your podcast is doing, whatever. The most important thing is the value you get from having a conversation with someone who you maybe not would have had before, or, that you didn't even know, like, oh, wow, you really did that. Or, like, well, you had that life experience. Like, you have so much more empathy, or you have, you can connect with them. Like, there's so many different things that can come about from just simply talking and speaking with someone for whether it's 20 minutes, whether it's 40 minutes, whether, it's 3 hours. There's so much value in that. And like, I love the fact that everyone is interesting in their own way. Because at the very least, if you have some sort of, well, it's even better when you have, perspective behind that. So I think that's great. Again, there's room in this for everybody. So I always tell someone like, hey man, start a podcast, just get your thoughts and ideas out there. Just talk to other people. It really, really helps, because I think it's an art form at the same time, right? Like, you're learning, you're practicing how to speak, how to hold the conversation, how to do it for 20 minutes, how to do it for 40 minutes, and stay engaged and intrigued, because you have to mentally be here, right? You have to stay focused. You can't just be on your phone, and then someone asks you a question, because, one, you look like an asshole, and the other part is, people are watching it. So it's just super important. But go ahead.
You also learn how to lead when you have your own show. You also learn how to lead, and leading is one of the most important social currencies that a person can possess, because being a leader in today's day and age is not only harder than ever, it's also more important than ever in today's day and age to just lead a crowd of people towards a similar vision. So you also learn how to do that through a podcast show.
Salman, do you find any value in sort of any social value in having a podcast or having a platform?
Oh, for sure. I'll be honest, I could not care less about who's watching or the views. I do want to make sure that they're having a good time, because that's like a way of respecting the people who take out the time to be on this podcast. But for me, I'm just here to meet new people, to network with them, to learn about new industries, new things that people are involved with, to hear about culture, travel, about people's goals, about the things they're passionate about. It is 100% social at its core for me.
Mm-hmm. Is there, I mean, and this question's for either of you guys, is there one podcast or person that where you're like, okay, I really fucked that up, I could have done way better?
Oh, definitely.
Oh yeah,
every
for sure.
episode for me. I could the way I look at our episodes is that there's always something that I can always improve, whether it be camera angles, camera quality. I shouldn't have interrupted that guy, because that's one of my inherent habits. I love to pitch in my own ideas. However, I also need to learn that other people have their own views, so I need to give them time to say something, and then I can come in instead of interrupting them and cutting them off and all that. So it's like a learning process, dude. Like, I'll never be perfect, but the journey towards getting better every single day and getting better every single episode, that is what it's all about.
I will say, our most viewed episode, all the comments are just shitting on Saad for constantly interrupting us. And it's not 100% his fault. There was a ton of lag, and he just couldn't tell we were talking. But that was something we weren't used to dealing with at the time. And personally, while this isn't something I could have done differently, one of my favorite episodes was with this great guy, a chef who's worked at Asia's best restaurant. He's worked for Gordon Ramsay at his restaurant in London, and he had the most insane story. But the guy's the guy didn't have a camera to record locally. Ooh. And he was traveling, so his audio is all choppy, and we've got this great story, but it's so hard to listen to. And I really wish, if we could do that again, I would have made sure that we get quality content out of him, because that was such a beautiful episode.
Yeah, there's always things that we could have done differently.
It's huge. Yeah, it's huge. I think it's always cool to talk to someone else who has this and who does this, because it's like, okay, what do you do different? Like, how are you doing this? Any pros or tips or just anything like that. It's just really cool. But I want to get to know you guys. I want everybody to get to know you guys personally. So I'll start with Salman. How was it growing up for you? Right, just to remind them, you grew up in Pakistan, right? And then you came here for your later education. So how was it growing up and then the transition to America?
Honestly, I was lucky. I grew up in a pretty nice school, pretty nice neighborhood, nice school, knew a lot of nice people. It was comfortable growing up, you know, life kind of just, you know, as a kid, you just go by it, you work hard, you get good grades, you hang out with your friends. There were times growing up, I think around like 2008, 2010, there's a lot of like political and also just like other types of instability going on. So we had like a lot of terrorist attacks going on. We were kind of like we've heard like bombs go off around us growing up, which like nowadays, like when I think back on it, it's like, oh yeah, that happened. It's not a big deal, but it definitely is something that kind of shapes your worldview. Like, for example, one thing I noticed is that there are a lot of, at least now things have calmed down, but there were a lot of terrorist attacks going on not too long ago. And people were like, oh my God, so many people have died. And I just think, oh yeah, that used to happen every day when I was a kid. Why is this a big deal now?
Yeah. Whoa.
And it's interesting. I mean, we were pretty much safe. I think even though there was a chance we could have got hurt, we all just believed we'd be fine, and we ended up all right. So I think we were lucky in that sense. And moving here was, honestly, it was a really smooth transition. I mean, I moved here to start college. So I was 17. I was able to get a credit card not long after I moved here. You know, as a college student, everything's kind of set up for you. You've got dorms, you've got food courts, so you don't have to worry about living. You don't have to worry about taking care of yourself and feeding yourself. At most, you have to do laundry. That was something, but like, you know,
adulting at its finest, doing your own laundry.
It's just standard adulting, you know. Yeah. And like, other than that, everyone at college is just, they're used to everyone else having to adjust. So everyone's so welcoming and so nice. So honestly, super smooth experience. I wouldn't call out anything in particular. Say it was highly average and normal, if nothing else.
How's it for you, Saad? I know you've had some time to think about the question. You're gonna come full loaded. Go ahead. Yeah. I mean, it's especially for you because you haven't made that transition to America, right? You've stayed in Pakistan. So like, how's that been of having your friend leave, you know, and still staying where you are, but also not, I mean, to mention you have your own business and stuff going on there. So how's that been?
Yeah. So again, Salman and I more or less had the same upbringing. We had the same social circle. We had the same school. What I would like to interject is that I do remember a lot of bomb blasts going off. Like my friend used to live right behind this massive hotel, the Marriott. Where we used to live. And that is one of the biggest bombings within our region to date. And my friend used to live, I don't know how many streets away, like at least like 4 or 5 streets away. And the bomb blast was so vigorous, it shattered his entire house's windows. Like literally, the blast, the shock waves could be heard for multiple kilometers away, and felt. And
I felt that one. I was 5 kilometers. It just shattered his
entire house's screens and all that. Yeah, and I don't know if you felt it or not. Did you feel it?
I did feel it, dude. For 5 kilometers away, I felt it. And I heard it.
Yeah. For context, a bunch of terrorists took an entire truck load of worth of TNT. They ran through the Marriott's gate and they just went to the core of the hotel and just set it off. And it was chaos.
Wow.
And it was probably a political move. I don't really know the things around it, but that is something that we've grown up around. Like around the embassies, there used to be bomb-proof walls that were like at least 18 to 24 inches thick. Like literally bomb-proof walls that you could not see through. You had to go to multiple security checkpoints to go into any government-associated building. Things were definitely that bad. Like I also lived in the UK for around 2 or 2.5 years, and it was surreal to me that people were just walking around the parliament as normal tourists, and people were just walking around the parliament. They were in and around Buckingham Palace, and I was like, as a kid, I was like, what the fuck? This is crazy. We can't go anywhere near the red zone. The red zone is where our parliament is.
That's just wild. I mean, and I say because I really just want to focus on that for a second. Is that you guys would have been like what if the 2008 2009 would have been 9 or 10, right?
Yeah,
maybe even 11 around that age. So like this is like your early adolescence, and again, when you're that age, your normal is whatever happens consistently every day, right?
Exactly.
Like that's your normal.
That is our normal.
So it's how do you wake up every day? Are you in a constant state of fear? Do you not know that you're fearful? Is it sort of just an expectation, you know?
Not
and then when you
all.
get somewhere else, you're like, okay, well, that was crazy. Sort of like how now we're looking back.
It's more of the latter. It's like looking back, wow, that was crazy. But living then, like, oh, whatever. You know, I guess my mom might not let me go to my friend's house later today, but that's all, you know?
Yeah.
Oh.
For us, what I think it did was that it instilled a sense of gratefulness, and it really made us develop a thick skin from an early age, and to really like, you know, and since we grew up around these things and it was our normal, and when we see other people just overreacting over small petty issues, we're like, holy shit, why is he overreacting over such a small issue when we've grown up around fucking bombs going off in the back street? So when it comes around that, I feel like in the grand scheme of things, I believe I had it better because I have a thicker skin now. I can take a lot more heat. I can take a lot more negativity as compared to the other guy who's not gone through any of this.
Well, I mean, I guess, again, for whatever it's worth, I commend you guys. I'm glad you guys made it out safe and we're on the other end. And you guys are thriving. Excuse me, you guys are thriving and doing well. And yeah, that has to shape you in a different way. Like you said, it instilled that thicker skin, that humility, that gratefulness. Like, that's huge.
We did grow up with a couple of ground rules that were instilled in us. Like from a very young age, we were told not to go to crowded areas because that's where bomb blasts happen.
Not to go where?
I don't know if this was into crowded areas, like places where a lot of people gather. That was number one. Rule number one: do not go there. Rule number two was always have somebody around, or like, you know, if you're travel with some sort of safe escort. You know, have some. So these were all ground rules that were established from a very young age, and at the end of the day, these were normal for us. This was like a very normal thing. Like, Salman, what did your parents also tell you to like not go to crowded areas?
Yeah, all of that, you know. But it was just normal.
All these things, right? Yeah, all.
It never felt like a big deal. I think the biggest deal for us was when, I think at its peak, we had like a couple of months of school just canceled. You know, so like I think it was 7th or 6th grade. The first half of 6th grade just basically didn't happen for us.
Is it because it was dangerous time, or?
Yeah, it was a dangerous time. So like our schools just completely shut down for, I think, at least it felt like 3-4 months, but realistically as a kid, it was probably closer to 2 months or even a month and a half. But yeah, that was just like the longest summer break of my life, where I was supposed to like study at home, but I basically didn't do jack shit for like 4 or 5 months.
So you've already experienced the pandemic before then?
Yeah, in a way.
To a lesser degree. I mean,
in a way, for sure.
Yeah. I definitely want to pivot a little bit, because you guys told me like how that, you know, instilled a lot of stuff in you, but when you turn to ask yourself like, who are you now, right? Not so much just what do you do now, but as a person, like that's how you grew up in your adolescence. You still lived there through high school. Coming into adulthood, who are you now, right? Like who's that core being of, whether it's ambition, whether it's pride, like who are you now? Saad, do you want to start?
That's a loaded ass question, bro. But we're gonna take it step by step. All right.
Absolutely.
So who am I now? Who was I back then? Let's give you context before, like in high school, or even before that. I was a very immature yet confident kid who used to always push the boundaries of social norms, and I would always like to, you know, see what I could get away with and see what I couldn't get away with.
He was an asshole.
And that always...
That's a great way of saying it, huh? I pushed the social norms. You're an asshole.
I was. I made this, like I remember for a good part of our high school life, Salman and I were not friends because I used to always fuck with him, or vice versa. Like we always had some sort of beef going on. But I'm glad we're past that.
You guys had some beef? You guys tell me a quick story about the high school beef.
We had a lot of beef, man. Like, Salman, you wanna lead the stories, bro? Let's
Dude,
go.
let me think.
Give me a story.
Let's not get into too much detail, but
it gets real, dog.
It does get real. we'll share some of the juicy stuff behind the scenes. But other than that, I mean, it was just Saad was immature. I was this very normal, down-to-earth guy. I just hang out with my friends. I was the type of kid who, like, I loved hanging out with people, but I was never, like, cliquey. I never had, like, beef with anyone else, except, I guess, Saad.
Yeah.
So it was very, like, we were just polar opposites, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, we still are polar opposites. Like, I'm the type
Oh, for sure.
of guy who'd rather have a group of people love me and a group of people hate my guts. I love that polarizing effect that I want myself to have, because that way I get to separate the real people from the fake people. I'd rather be the guy who has 5 real friends instead of 50 okay acquaintances. That's just the way I want to live my life, and that's just a personal choice. And that is and that was the core of me being in high school, and that is still the core message today. But obviously I'm a lot more refined now with my approaches. I am definitely a lot more wiser in terms of the things I know. I am a lot more well read, and I'm a lot more well educated now. I have a lot more skin in the game in terms of hard work. I work a lot harder now than I used to before. So there's a lot of things that come with age, buddy. I'm proud of who I am now.
And how old are you again?
I am 21.
Oh, you're a puppy, man.
You're a puppy.
Yeah.
Really?
Fun fact, we were born on the same day.
Wow. Same month?
Same month.
Yeah, yes.
Like literally same day. Oh, same day. Wow.
You know, I was born on the 6th of Jan. He was born on February. No, we're both born on the 6th of
Jan. Literally same day. Oh, yeah, you guys are Capricorn, sound guy.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I like how you know your star signs. What are you?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm an Aquarius. So I was born on January 28th.
Oh, just missed that
okay. So
train.
you just missed the Capricorn board.
Thank God, though.
Okay.
I'm good where I'm at.
Okay, buddy.
I'm okay.
I'm sure we all are. Yeah.
Yeah, but I kind of want to talk about like your business, Saad, real quick, and then I want to just tag along with that Salman's education experience. So
sure,
let's go.
So right now I am in the business. I am in the business of design. So what I do is that I help clients and companies and customers find their brand identity, as well as also make really cool visuals for them, whether it be for their business, whether it be for somebody they like, whether it be for somebody they want to get a gift for. I cover all those bases, and I'm planning to expand it into a massive firm with multiple employees. That is the big goal. I also want to delve into the automotive field. So I've started doing that by creating custom wrap designs for luxury cars and vehicles. And so what we do is that we just get in touch with the client. We give them a premium bespoke experience, because we truly believe that design is not only the end product, it is the journey from point A to point B. And it is the journey of where we guide the client and where we educate them from the different aspects of design. We teach them a few things, and then we tell them why this thing works, why this thing doesn't work. And then we get to the end product. That is the goal. And that is basically like the thing that we want to, keep constant within all our
That's a beautiful elevator pitch.
Approaches.
That's exactly someone's funny. How is it? I want to continue on that for a second. How is the I want to put this the right way. How's the Pakistani business landscape? Because I just know, again, from an American perspective, an American business student, it's really not one of the ones that we look to study a lot, or that we believe have the best business practices all the time. So can you like shed a little light or dispel some of those, wrong things?
For sure. Pakistan is a very different type of country. Like in America, I believe that if you have a startup, it's a lot easier to get funding. It's a lot easier over there to get customers right off the bat. It's a lot easier to build trust with clients because, number one, there's a lot more money in the system. Let's be honest here. Pakistan and America, two very different different countries with two very different economic realities. In Pakistan, majority of the country does not even have housing, does not even have basic needs. Whereas you guys have more than what our people can get. So therefore, securing funding and all that in America, I believe it is much easier to start a business. However, in Pakistan, if you have you have enough money, seed capital, and if you're in the right, and if you know the right people, and if you have the right connections, you can make a lot of money here.
I will say, to add to that, like I really want to focus on you got to know the right people. If you know the right people, your business will launch, no problem. If you don't, it could be a great idea and people will bring you down. It's unhealthy for sure, but that's the landscape we've grown up with.
It's a mafia. It's a mafia in this country. It's a lot harder to break through the societal, chains if you like. And yeah, if you know the right people, you're definitely ahead in this country, especially in this country.
For sure.
Ooh, would you say that, it's my last question for you on this subject. Do you feel as though like you're poised to sort of make that jump or that next leap to get your company where you want it?
What do you mean?
Right. So basically, like, do you think you know the right people? Do you think you have the right products? Do you think you're doing the right things to put yourself in that position to capitalize on when the opportunity comes?
I'll be honest, since I sell digital products, since my products are not physical or tangible, I sell all over the planet. And as of right now, I prefer not to sell in Pakistan because my products are definitely on the higher end of the spectrum when it comes to pricing. And in Pakistan, generally, people don't really value design to that extent at the moment. However, I do feel the landscape is changing over time, and people and companies will be investing into design and how it impacts their image and all that very, very soon. But until that happens, I am selling all over the planet, and I'm happy doing that.
Ooh, that boy's a fast talker. Salman, let's switch a little bit.
I don't know if that's a good thing, being a fast talker.
It's
Did people get that?
You got it going for
you. You've got the gift of the gab. Absolutely, that is a compliment. Salman, though, how has your education experience been here? Well, I mean, everything. Because I'm constantly making this contrast between Pakistan and America because it's something that I'm ignorant to in terms of, being there and experiencing it. And you guys know, so like, how has the education experiences been? And then again, your transition into your degree, and how's that been going?
For sure. I think one thing people don't realize is that schooling is a lot, I'd say, easier in the US. I guess I should say it's easier in the US. I'm going to say it's a lot harder back home. I have put very little effort into my classes for the past 4 years, and I've got a great above average GPA that I'm very happy with.
What's your GPA?
And it's about a 3.5, which at Purdue, which is one of the hardest schools in the States, is a great GPA. So I'm super happy with that.
Flex on them, dog.
Mine is 2.67.
Hey, Saad. C's get degrees, baby.
Yep.
That's what it is.
That's what they say in America. C's get degrees.
Yeah.
But yeah, in terms of school, it was a smooth transition. Life's been easy. I think the coolest thing here is that I've been able to be so involved with just the community. Like, Purdue's in the middle of goddamn nowhere, so there's very little to do outside of campus. But on campus, you've got all these clubs and organizations. Like, I've helped program and host events that have had hundreds, even thousands of people by being on our student union board. I was a part of Engineers Without Borders, where we helped design a biogas digester that we went and built in Uganda. So I've been a part of so many different experiences, and that's something I'm super grateful for. Mm-hmm. And as a mechanical engineer, that's helped me, or someone who was studying mechanical engineering, that helped me grow all these skills where it was project management, product design. And so what you guys don't know is that my minor is in entrepreneurship, because at the end of the day, engineering's great, but really it's I want to be able to.
Got a minor in entrepreneurship? Well, why the fuck don't I know this?
Yeah, I was like, I feel like I've never told this one to Saad, but there you go.
Yeah.
The idea is, when I see a business opportunity to make something, to build something, to market something, I want to have all the skills to do it. And that's what I focused on. I'm really happy with it, where I've reached over there. And honestly, a couple of years down the line, I think that might be the move.
Is to start your own company?
Yeah. To look for, always looking for opportunities. And when the right one presents itself, I should be in a place to jump on it,
Yeah, financially, mentally, everywhere.
How do you? I have a question. This is go for either of you, because I see a lot of people who either they're on both ends of the spectrum, right? Either they say F school, I'm an entrepreneur, I really don't need this, you know, and they go all the way in this direction. They may have some money saved up, they go all the way in this direction, and then there's the people on the other side of the spectrum where they play it super safe, right? And they say school, job, you know, 401k, just stay there. My thing is like, how do you combine the security of one side with the pleasure and the joy and, you know, the more so the passion of the other side? You know, it's like, can one blessing befit the other? Like, how do you guys view that?
It's a trade-off. Okay, I'll start because I've got so many words. I think Saad's definitely the passion side of things. You know, he'll be like, okay, F school, you know, he's studying, but really he knows he's doing his own thing and he's going to make it that way. And on the other hand, I'm all about just, I like having a stable job. I would love to, if I cared enough about something, I'd start my own project. But at the end of the day, entrepreneurship, having your own company is a lot of work. It's what my parents do, and I know how hard they work. And given the option to have a stable job where I live a very comfortable life and having my own company, I'd take the stable job unless it was something where it was like, this is a great idea. This is the future. I want to be a part of it.
Yeah, I definitely agree with Salman that entrepreneurship and all the things that come with it are not for everybody. I feel like number one, the first thing that a person needs to do is have self-awareness. What type of person are they? The number 11 guy or the number fucking 50 guy at Facebook is making a lot more money than me right now. So and they're much happier than most people who want to be like, you know, the owners of their own life, you know, and have their own business. So you really need to see that what thing will make you the happiest. If like for Salman, if having a stable job and having a comfortable income is what makes him happy, go ahead, dude. More power to you. Go with it. But that is personally not something that I want to do because I have crazy ass dreams, and in order for that to come to fruition, I have to work my tail off. There's no way.
But here's my question. It's like, could you, and what I mean, like meet in the middle and sort of find that equilibrium between the two of, could you not take, you know, say you work in a job that's stable for 5 years, and well, in that 5 years, you're developing your plan, you're starting your business, and you're taking some of that money, you're saving that and funneling it into your project, and you're doing that until that project takes off. I only said 5 years just for a number, but
that is
not realistic.
That's a really good way to do it.
That is a really good way to do it, and a lot of people actually do it. They work at a company for what 10, 15 years first. They save enough money to have enough seed capital, and then they start their own business, or they start their own business on the side, and then they work those extra hours. But then again, Jay, it all comes down to what circumstance you're in. For example, if you have the money to start right now and you're just fresh out of college, I suggest you go out and try something crazy instead of going for a safe job immediately. Go out, get with a roommate or get with 3 friends, start this passion project for the next and just see where it goes in the next 3 years. Worst case, you're out of college, you apply for jobs 3-4 years later if you fail. So but then again, if you're already in a job and you have responsibilities, then do it the way that you just explained.
Okay. I see what you mean. Well, let's pivot for a second. I really want to talk about this. We sort of talked about this off camera a little bit. How do you guys think that U.S. politics affects Pakistan specifically, if not the world in general?
I'd say it's definitely, most of the world is very reactionary to politics, especially between like the U.S. and China. And that's something that for the most part is like really complex and hard to talk about, especially since neither of us have that background. But it definitely makes a difference. You see policies make a difference. Personally, when I joined, it was right before Trump was elected. So I remember going to my first career fair as an international student, and there were 30, 40, like 50 companies I could talk to right there that were willing to give international students like internships and jobs. And I mean, I was a freshman, so freshmen don't usually get much out of those, but it was good to go there and network. You know, a year later, that number dropped And I think my final year at like the career fair, I remember seeing about 11 companies I could talk to, half of which really weren't talking to. So you could definitely see that it's harder to build that career, make those connections, and to get that push now than it was even just 4 years ago.
And you're attesting that to the president, or what exactly?
Not just I'd say Trump's election was kind of, it signified a shift in policy for sure.
Mm-hmm.
It showed a shift in attitude for a lot of people, and there was a lot of uncertainty. I know a lot of people who, U.S. citizens, but of international heritage, they didn't feel comfortable traveling back home to meet their family, even like around the time of the election. And I think regardless of what actual policies have been, companies don't feel as comfortable anymore taking that risk, to give someone else who might not be here a couple of years from now experience. You don't want to hire and train someone only to have like policies change and then to leave like a week later. That'd be terrible waste of time and money. So it's definitely a challenge that's very big for all of us.
Yeah, exactly.
One of the privileges.
Go ahead.
One of the privileges that come with being a U.S. citizen is having a very strong passport and having a lot of opportunities and having a lot of choice. Salman and I both have Pakistani passports. It's one of the weakest passports on the planet. To travel anywhere, we need to get a visa, and applying for a visa is a pain in the ass. They check our backgrounds, they check what our family does, how much money we have, they check why we're going to a certain place, and they do an in-depth background check on the individual applying for a visa, which takes around 2 to 4 weeks to get processed and then get a response back. Number one, that's very time consuming. Number two, that leads to a lot of status based profiling. I am in a very privileged position even with my passport because I come from a very well off family, and I have never had a problem getting a visa because we have a few of those connections within those areas, within the places we want to go to. However, the general population of Pakistan, and every time they apply for a US visa, they're going to get rejected 90% of the time. There's no way in hell they're ever even making it to the border, ever making it to the US ever. Canada, Europe, whatever it be. So that's just the reality of things. That's something that you never ever have to face, Jay, because you have a US passport. You can practically go to almost any country on the planet without any questions asked because you are a US citizen. All you have to do is buy a ticket, whether it be a last minute journey, and you can just travel there.
So then my next question would be why? Could you sort of give me, and if not educate the listeners as to why our passport is so strong opposed to yours?
Yeah,
well,
definitely.
I think it ties into the fact that, security wise, our country was in a really bad place 10 years ago. And that does have implications on how comfortable other countries are with letting your citizens into their country.
Definitely.
So yeah, it pretty much, I'd say a lot of it just boils down to that.
Especially after 9/11. Especially after 9/11, after 9/11, after the Middle East / Pakistan and all these other countries, Afghanistan and all that, and the war on Taliban, and especially after fucking the war on Taliban, we were branded as a country that cannot enter US safely. And then generally all around world politics and all that, it all bans around you and everything. So at the end of the day, bro, when one major faction does not favor your people, a lot of the people who are under that faction will also go towards that side, and they will try and prevent you guys to
So Saad, and
it's complicated
to cross any borders and all that.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. I just really want you guys to give the listeners a lot of context. That was phenomenal. For Saad, and you speak about America and having opportunity and more money in the system. So at a certain point, especially as you're growing your business, is there a point where you'd want to come to America and settle here, or are you fixed on staying where you are?
Here's the thing, Jay. I want to expand my company in the way that I don't want to just be reliant on one place or one country or all that. I want to have multiple different offices. Let's say one in London, one in New York, one in LA, one in Brussels, one in Pakistan, Islamabad over here. I want to have like a multinational, base where I am not bound to any country. However, I do plan on getting another country's citizenship or something like that fairly soon. No idea which country is going to be yet, but
Whoa, we'd love to have you, buddy.
Hopefully soon, buddy. Hopefully soon. We'll see how the policies are.
Absolutely. Yeah, a lot. I mean, that's a lot of complex stuff, and I feel like it's a lot of stuff that people don't take into consideration. Because like you were saying, like when we travel, like I've never even second guessed. You know what I mean? Traveling, it's like, okay, yeah, I want to go there. Let's go. You know, and the fact that you're saying it's 3-4 more steps or 2-4 more weeks, like that sounds crazy. Like just even because a lot of the culture,
I have to pay anywhere between $100 to $200 more than you just to apply for a visa, and that too is not even guaranteed that I'm gonna get my visa. So I pay $100 to $200 more bucks to get a visa.
To talk about the other side of things, I know it's like for travel purposes, for being able to speak to clients, to move around, you want to have something more flexible than our passport. But the thing I love about the country and the fact about Pakistan, the fact that it's developing, is that when you have an idea, when you have even the slightest bit of capital, you have a very open road to success ahead of you.
You do.
You know, like there's much less competition. You are able to pioneer the industries you want to be involved in. And personally, I could see myself moving back and being a part of something big, because there's so much opportunity that people haven't jumped on yet back home. And that's something that's always really exciting. And I think that applies to a lot of developing countries.
It comes back to the saying, out of every crisis, an opportunity is born. And Pakistan is always in crisis. So that means it's a shit ton of opportunity over here to do whatever you want to do. And Salman is perfectly all right with that. And that's great.
That'd be good. I think that'd be a huge sort of, not so much of a comeback story, but like a return home, you know, to return home and have your own business, to build your own community and thoughts and just, you know, everything that comes along with building a company. That would be phenomenal, man.
Yeah, man.
All right. So before I let you guys go, of course, this question is for both of you guys. Well, actually, 2 questions. I'll tell you guys the first one first, and then I'm going to ask the last. Tell me something that no one knows about you guys.
Ooh, that's a hard one.
Take a minute.
That's a hard one.
That's a really
not too long. But
what about you, Jay? What do the people not know about you?
About me, I love country music. I feel like that's one that when people ask me that question, it's like, wait, what? Or huh? I'm like, but no, I think from spending a lot of my adolescence in like Florida in the deep South, it's like it was what's on the radio, so you kind of like fall into it and you're like, oh no, this music's great. Like, you know, Johnny Cash is really cool. Just like a lot. I mean, that sort of represents me. Just like a lot of different influences mixed in. And it produces. So yeah, I mean that's very light, but you know.
Yeah.
That's gonna get deep.
What do people not know about me? What do people like?
Well, I wouldn't know.
Dude,
we wouldn't know what we don't know.
Yeah.
No. Okay, fine. Something that you know, but very few people know.
Oh, dude, I'll pay attention to the things you tell me, honestly.
Same here, brothers. Same here.
But I could jump on this. This is something that, I mean, a lot of my friends know, and I say pretty often, but I feel like people don't like register it. I really like cold weather, and I hate the sun, and I hate hot weather. Like I'm in the Midwest. I'm in Chicago. It's gonna get really goddamn cold, and everyone's just complaining about it, and I'm so excited. Like I'm just gonna throw on another layer. I'm still gonna be running when it's below freezing outside. You know, like I'm excited for that. It's gonna be super fun. I will walk to work instead of take the train just because I really like the weather.
Is it because you grew up in such a hot place?
Yeah.
I mean, kinda. Yeah, actually, that definitely adds to it. Like I hated the heat growing up. I get sunburned super easy, so that's always been a pain in the ass to deal with. And the cold is just like I can do whatever I want without worrying about like sweating through my clothes or like waking up like with skin burnt to the core.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Saad,
you're next.
Saad,
Jay, I'm not gonna give you a vanilla ass answer, Salman, and talk about the fucking weather. I'm gonna give you something real. I don't think many people know this, but guns terrify me.
Really?
Like why? I know I might need a gun sometime in the future, but like generally guns terrify me. Like I'm just fucking afraid if I have a gun, I might shoot someone in the head accidentally, even if the gun's pointed down on the ground. Like it just is what it is, and I'm I'm the type of guy who wants to stay away from guns as far as possible until I can't anymore, obviously.
Do you guys have any like ranges out there or anything? Like
We don't
gun
have
ranges?
ranges. We don't
No, we
have.
do.
I don't
At the
know
Gun
any.
and Country Club.
Oh, Gun and Country Club. Yeah. There's one gun, and then there's multiple private ranges like the army owns many. Yeah, there are a lot of gun ranges.
I'm just I mean I only asked just to sort of maybe that's something, a fear to get over, something you could challenge yourself to, like by the end of my life.
No, I have shotguns. I have shotguns before.
Oh,
that's
okay.
not an issue. That's not an issue. It's just that from what I've experienced is that I really believe in energies, and you attract what you own. So I genuinely fucking believe that if you own a gun, you're just attracting that energy, because a lot of people that I know who've owned guns and have had burglaries, and I've had people try to rob them. They've all died. A lot of them have all died in fucking crossfire. So shit like that scares the shit out of me. Like I've had a lot of family members. They've had shotguns. They've had like ARs in their closets. Robbers come through the door, and literally they just run back, grab the shotgun. They kill a few robbers, but they also get their heads and brains blown out in the process. It's just a messy situation to be in, and I'd rather be like I'd rather avoid that altogether.
Yeah, that was a whole different subject to unpack. But I'm gonna leave that one there. Here's the last question. Tell me a story that sort of represents you, right? So we can sort of have or see your character in this story.
Ooh, Salman, you want to take one?
Okay, I mean, I'm gonna go with one that's fairly recent, and I think it's a pretty cool story. I've got an aunt who's an artist, so she likes to paint, does a lot of interesting stuff. And just last year, I helped her set up her own brand of products, where I basically helped her. So the idea is definitely 100% hers. What she did was she took a really nice watercolor painting. She was able to copy it onto fancy cardstock and make basically a birthday card out of it. And I saw it and I was like, it was a birthday card for me. Super nice. And I thought this is really nice. Why don't you sell this? So over the course of like December, I helped her set up. Basically, we picked out like 2 nice designs. We found a printer to work with. We chose, materials, quantities, pricing, everything. The actual design, brand names, came up with a logo. We put that all together, and now we have this really nice brand that sells basically greeting cards they're prints of fancy pieces of art that the artist has drawn, and the artist has hand signed each and every card.
Yeah, that's
and these
great.
Cards sell for they sell way above what one would normally pay for a greeting card, but they're all sold out right now, last I heard.
Wow.
So it was super cool to so at Chumps they've all sold out, and it was super cool to, one, be able to build something and take it to market, and two, be able to help someone, especially a family member, achieve like a goal and a dream in that way. So I think that's something by which I define myself, and that I really want to keep doing things like that.
Yeah,
look at you, you helpful motherfucker.
Our podcast, bro. Our fucking podcast, dude. 2 times. I hope you put in that much effort as well, bro. Yeah, sure. Dude. I really I'd like to preface this by saying that I really believe that I'm a very resilient guy who just gets back up no matter how hard life knocks me down, or how hard I be pushed to the ground. And I am just so proud of that, because I just don't fucking give up. Like, I have a lot of stories like where generally again, I'm going to go back to high school. I used to be very immature, very unrefined, very raw in whatever I used to do. And what that led to was that I used to just generally talk to a lot of girls. I used to make them really laugh and everything. But I used to ask a lot of them out, but I would not get that many yeses, and I would just be rejected every single time. I used to get rejected all the time, like, obviously. But what happened through that was that each rejection fueled me to do better. I was like, okay, fine. Why the fuck didn't that at work. Let me try again with another person. And I remember after like 11 rejects, I got like one yes, and I was like, holy fuck, this is crazy. There's been progress being made. So I'm just so happy that that I'm just able to continuously push through, and through no's, through rejection, and just like keep my head down, keep my vision focused, and just get shit.
Whether it's girls or business, he's fucking resilient.
Yes, buddy.
Exactly.
Hell yeah.
I love it. I think those two stories are very telling about both of you. I think this whole podcast has been, whether it's the name of two time zones or just you two being born on the same day but polar opposites. I think that just attests to how opposites attract.
Yeah. I don't know how the fuck we're friends. I don't know how the fuck we're friends.
And it's amazing. It's amazing to watch, though. It's amazing to see. But I'm gonna close this thing out by saying, thank you so much, guys. Do you have any closing words before I actually close it out?
Yeah, I do.
Thanks for having us.
I wanna ask you, Jay. When you first talked to us on our show, when you first talked to us, did you immediately realize that we were completely different people, like me and Salman, or did it take a while for you to realize that these two are like very?
Oh no, absolutely. I think right off the bat, I think a lot of it has to do, like you said, like energy but more so demeanor. Because guys both are very positive, but just more so the demeanors are very, very different. So.
Okay, I see. All right, that's very, very cool.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say this was super fun. I like how we've both been on both ends of this now. You've been on our podcast, we've been on yours, and it's been awesome both times. So thanks so much, man.
Hell yeah.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. That's a wrap for episode number 12. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you, Saad and Salman. We'll be posting this probably within the week. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. God bless as always, guys.
All right.